session stars and friends. All right, so create a creature creations. This is going to be a fun and interesting type of class. We're still going to do freeform, which means that you can come up with any type of changes or different materials. I want you to explore. Don't get frustrated. And know that if this animal or stuffed creature doesn't turn out the way you want, that's okay. The patterns I gave you are handmade and they're there so that you can try again. One of the ways you can keep the patterns nice is if you have a hole punch, you can put a hole punch, make sure it's a little bit further down so it's not to the top where it could rip, and you can just put a little ring and hang them up, or keep them in the folder, either way. So these type of patterns are different from the kind that you buy at the store. I am self-taught when it comes to those things, so it's kind of fun because they're wonky, they're wobbly, they're not completely straight. This can cause problems sometimes, but I think it's fun to kind of stumble through doing these. And it might sound odd, but I feel like being self-taught sometimes is a really great way to figure things out on your own. So the patterns won't be necessarily completely perfect or something that you recognize. So we'll go over that in a little bit. But I wanted to talk to you about what some of them could look like and go over some fabric ideas so that you can kind of figure out what you want to pick out for when you're cutting your fabric out. Which I need you to pick one of the patterns. I marked which ones were easy and middle level and hard. So if you mark those, if you cut those ones out and have one ready for the actual class, that would be very helpful. Because I don't want you to use your time cutting out fabric, which does take time when we're kind of learning how to put them together. So I will show you a bigger version of the fish that I made you. This one was all one piece though. The one I made you has two pieces. So the body of the fish and the tail. As you can see on, this is backwards, on, here's the cheek and, oh my goodness, I'm recording in a different way today. So these are the eyes. The black part and the white part are made of fleece. I use fleece a lot just because it's easy to get that to stick down and it feels really nice because it's fuzzy. This one's actually a piece from a baby blanket, and all I did to make this smile was a cool stitch. The highlight in the eye is also a stitch, but what I did for your fish is I made a complete oval of the eye color and then a small circle for your highlight. And there's different ways to do that. So when you cut out your piece, you're going to want to cut out two of each body piece and fin part. So this one is only one piece, like I told you. It has a bumpy, fuzzy fabric. And then I added these pieces on top for decoration. That's where you come in. You can decide to add certain pieces with different types of colors or patterns. This is just something that I found. This back piece is a weird watercolor fleece. Fleece holds up pretty well, and then you guys are going to have to stuff it. And I used to have a little ribbon right here that I sewed in, and it came out like water for the whale. Another thing that you could do. This has been loved since Lily was a baby. This is one of two that I've made. And then there's another one that I've sent you that I also have used. He doesn't have any arms, but I'm okay with that. His name is Mr. Moon, and with your pattern that you have, you'll notice this shape. Now I did draw a line across the pattern, and that is if you want to make a separate one. It's kind of hard to see, but there's stars on this one, and this one has stripes, and this again is the fleece, and I cut out stars for the fleece, and I made a little pocket. So you can move the pocket around on the pattern wherever you like. You can make the whole piece one piece of fabric, or you can cut where that line is and use that to cut a separate piece to be able to make him a different color, or maybe pants or whatnot. And then as far as the face goes, I cut out some old white sheets, okay, and his face is all drawn on, and I used a fun stitch to go around the outside of his face. And when it comes to the face, I just used fabric markers. So any type of fabric markers are good. I suggest using ones that you don't have to iron. This one says no ironing needed. They need to be permanent. I have washed this guy several times and he's come out fine. There's different brands. These ones are Marvy, M-A-R-V-Y. You can find any at Joann's or whatnot. There's tons of colors, okay? There's even glow-in-the-dark ones that I've used before. So if you're not comfortable with sewing on, now the eyes would have to be sewn on this one, okay? Because I don't think a face piece would look necessarily correct, but that's where you can prove me wrong. That's where you can show me what you think is a good idea. Freeform, do what you want. The patterns are there to help you pick out an animal, a creature, a piece, and I want you to go above and beyond. If you choose to make your own pattern pieces for extras, just make sure it's a hard piece of paper or material. Don't use thin stuff because it will aggravate you when you try to trace or cut. You can use paper bags, work really well. I used posters that I wasn't using anymore and cut that out from there. And you can do any design you want. I suggest, if you're not sure, before you draw on your face, you're going to maybe sketch it out on a sketchbook. Do like 3 or 4 faces. See what you like. And keep in mind what colors you have for your markers. And I have a little visitor here. Hello, my lady. She's going to make herself comfortable. And then you can move on. Oh, there she goes. And it's fun to choose different types of fabric. Cotton, fleece. This one is escaping my mind. Flannel. Flannel is good too. You can buy cheap flannel, well, cheapish flannel at Joann's. And they come in lots of cool, whimsical things. I found this cotton that looks like wood. This one is from like a vintage bin that I found. Probably something that, you know, some beautiful elderly lady wore on a cruise ship or something. Let your imagination go wild. So I didn't give you this pattern, but this is a lot like the other doll that has the round head and the long body. They're not meant to have arms or legs. Arms or legs can be very frustrating for first-time sewers because you have to make them small and thin. You have to turn them out, and then stuffing them can be kind of painstaking. So if your first time, I suggest the round head, long body doll with no arms or legs, or the fish. Play around with the patterns. Play around with the different types of designs. This is canvas, like raw canvas. This is 2. So for the face, this is some muslin. It's a little thinner, a little more see-through. The thicker the better, I think, because it lasts longer. The bed sheets did work really well for this face. But the thicker ones, like the canvas here, I did not use, I didn't use fabric markers. I actually used acrylic paints. So, and then coming up with different thread colors can be fun. I actually cut these little circles out to put windows on the boat. So you can literally make anything out of these. They are just pillows. They're not, like round dolls with different, 4 pieces or anything. So when we do this, you'll cut out, like I said, 2 pieces. Just because it says 2 pieces on the pattern for the front and the back doesn't mean it has to be this same type of fabric. You could have a fun one on the back since there won't be anything on the back. You could be really outrageous and do a happy doll and then a sad doll, or a boy and then a girl, or whatever you like. Or you can just keep it plain on the back since we're just learning right now. And I wanted to show this face to show that you can be more artistic with it. There is shading on the lips, and I did not put gesso on this. This is just paint directly on the canvas piece, so untreated canvas. It's a little more difficult to cut and sew canvas that already has the gesso on it, so I wouldn't recommend that. Now I'm going to show you, sorry if I'm going too quick, I just want to make sure you get all the information and that it doesn't take forever. So I know the kiddos will probably want to watch too. I'm just going to go through and show you some different type fabric. Let me see if I can close up. There we go. This would be fun. Something like this could be fun. Furs are okay to use, but they are hard to cut, and the pile up here will poof everywhere. So don't wear lipstick. It is fun to use. You can use it. I have used it before to make, like a little funky outfit or hair. Yeah. Do you think, darling? So, yeah. And this one is a strange one because it's fuzzy on this side and then more fleecy on this side. This is super soft. This would be great for like a bear. Now, you want to be careful with things like this. I told you it's fluffy. Okay. Whew. You want to be careful with things like this because these are not good necessarily all the time because they do unravel, okay? And we don't want your doll to unravel. Now, if you put a backing on this, like another piece of cotton, and use this, like say you were to cut out clothes or a patch or something fancy like a bow tie shape, you're going to want to do it with this and a piece of cotton, okay? So 2 pieces to make it stronger. And even that still might not work. There is velvet, luxurious. No, it's fake, but there's this velvety type stuff. And this can be good. You just want to make sure it's thicker. When you're looking at the edges and you're pulling on it, make sure it doesn't fall apart real easy. You can even go with corduroy. I've used corduroy before. For you kids that love the feeling of stuff, pick something that you like. If you don't want, if you only have a little bit, like I only have this much of this fabric, and you know you want to use it, maybe don't use it for your first one. I have fabric that I really love that I can't find anymore. So what I tend to do is make a practice doll and try that out. Another fun thing you can do is if you make the entire piece out of the white cotton or muslin or canvas, you can just make the whole thing blank, not add any of the pieces, and then you can paint the entire piece. So there's lots of ways to do this. I'm giving a lot of options because we have both adults and children when it comes to this sewing lab. So if you have any questions, I hope some of this helped. I really want you to pick out fun fabric. I want you to pick out something that you would like. Um, so yeah, fabric markers would be really good for the kids. Make sure that your fabric is not too loose in its weft so that it doesn't like fall apart. You can use buttons if you want. You can bring ribbons, anything to kind of decorate your doll with. Now I know that some of you have multiple children and probably one sewing machine. So if anybody wants to hand sew, that's fine. You can do that. We might be able to take turns and everybody sews together their first piece, right sides together, and then so we can flip it inside out to make that pillow type thing. Stuffing can be frustrating. We want to make sure that we are only stuffing small bits at a time. If you punch in a bunch of big globs of cotton or polyfill, whatever you're using, it can get lumpy. So we'll go over that as we do it, but you do need a lot more polyfill than you think. Let's see, anything else? There are things like the hemostat clips, which I don't have with me right at the moment, but they look like scissors. They're not sharp. They have, little grips. Those are great for turning pieces. Turning means that if you have a leg that's sewn together and it's inside out, you're going to want to put it in there, grab it with a little clamp, and then turn it right side out. And then you stuff it. And those hemostats are also good to use to stuff. Okay? But there's other ways of doing it. You can do it by hand, no problem. Especially if you little kids have like teeny fingers, it works really well. So, thank you so much, and I hope this helps. And your patterns are on their way. They're all handmade, like I said. If you feel like you're missing something, let me know. If you are confused as to which pieces go to what, let me know. I will be picking one doll to do. I think more than likely I'll make another Mr. Moon just because it's kind of easy and simple like the fish and the doll, but it also has legs like the robot. So that way I can kind of help everybody. It will be loud while we're sewing. So we'll probably work on a hands up method. So I'll give some instructions, let everybody kind of do their thing. If you have a question, put it in the chat or hands up. We're still going to do this through Zoom. It's my first time doing it online, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so hit me up in Remind app or on the group conversation on Facebook, and I really hope that everything goes well, and I'll help you out with the date soon. And I apologize for not being on time, and I am so humble and thankful that you guys are willing to be flexible. And if this goes on too long and we need more time, we will make an extra second finish up class. Okay? Thanks. See you soon.